Day one, any business that I've been part of, I always believe that marketing is integral and has to play the role and has to be in the forefront and own up to the impact, revenue impact that we can bring on the table. Some basic fundamentals don't change. At the end of the day, a marketing person's job is to create awareness for the product or the brand, build that equity in the market for people to believe and be consistent in the value that you promise to customer and create the demand in whichever form for the business. So in different context, things might change. So what's kept me going, I think, is I always look back and think as to what worked, why it worked or not. I've always stayed paranoid, right? I've always been curious, right? And I've always been positive.
Hi Naveen, welcome to the Marketing Couch.
Hey, hi Jaydev. Thanks for having me.
I'm absolutely delighted to have you, Naveen, today on the pod. Naveen, you are currently heading the global marketing for EdgeVerve, which is an
That's right.
Infosys subsidiary focused on, I believe, is AI and automation platforms. For our audience who might not be familiar with basically what EdgeVerve is and who is your audience, what do you offer, etc., would you be able to sort of share a little bit about the company?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking that because it gives me an opportunity to tell people what EdgeWave is. Not many
And
people would
also sets the context, right?
also sets the context. EdgeWave is a 100% subsidiary of Infosys. So it's the product and platform arm of Infosys. Set up about 11 years back in 2014 and with the intention of creating world class products and platforms from India. So it makes it easier because the way a product and platform company should run, the processes that are there, and how to monetize is quite different from the core services business. And that's how the product and platform company was established. Over the years, we've evolved. Um, you know, we had many products, offering a point solution. We had products, for RPA called AssistEdge. We had ExtractEdge, which was the document processing, TradeEdge for supply chain. But as we looked at the change that's happening in the market, with especially AI coming and how AI would transform the businesses going forward, we felt it was important for us to create a platform and bring all our experiences over the years and all our capabilities, plus add all the AI capabilities and create a platform and go to the market with a platform. Today, our platform that we take to market is EdgeVerve AI Next, and
Got
it's
it.
a unified platform which help enterprises accelerate their journey in becoming AI first. And it's all about how do you help enterprises scale applied AI.
Got it. Okay. So, is there any specific industry that you target to, or is it like pretty much every
No,
industry?
we are a horizontal. The platform is horizontal, and we service multiple industries. Right from BFSI, CRL, that's the consumer retail logistics, manufacturing, services. So we service all the industries. We are a
Got it.
horizontal platform.
Got it. In my own capacity of advising multiple AI early stage startups, I have been seeing that some industries are early adopters of certain use cases,
Yeah,
while others have already started using AI. The way we look at AI is like, so we had predictive AI earlier, and then came the generative AI, and the latest avatar is agentic AI. I mean, that's the way at least I try to look at this whole sort of landscape.
yeah,
Predictive AI, I think, has been there in enterprise level, predicting using the historical data and running basically different kind of analytics involved rules and engines, ability to predict multiple things, whether it is supply chain or whether it is in the marketing domain. We have seen, predictability in terms of campaign analytics and so on.
Yeah.
um, and also of course across various other domains, including sales, finance, everywhere. I think generative AI is something that probably last 2 years is more in discussion and more in the limelight, especially with the emerge of multiple LLMs, which actually sort of pushed this whole generative AI narrative all over now. And I think what started happening is multiple products and platforms now are, thinking AI first, as
Yeah.
probably EdgeVerve is as well, right? Do you see any specific industry that is, adopting faster than maybe some other industries?
Yeah, so I think, if we just look back at the last year and a half and the hype that's around AI, a lot of industries, I think, have identified use cases and have started trying to do POCs around various use cases and to see what works for them and what does not. And, you must have probably read recent reports of MIT also that 95% of the POCs have not succeeded. Right?
That
The
is true.
success rates
Yeah.
have been very low. Right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think initially there was a little bit of a skepticism in some industries where there is regulatory compliance required.
Mm.
They were a little slow to adapt, but I think as they have seen that it is possible to regulate, you can create boundaries and make the LLMs work within the data that you
The
provide,
enterprise boundary, correct.
enterprise boundaries. So the acceptance is there.
Mm.
But yes, from looking at it, we are seeing good traction in the financial services. We are seeing also in the consumer logistics space. So, manufacturing, I think, is possibly a little slower than others.
Hmm.
Maybe the focus today of manufacturing is to use AI in the plant, in the
Mm.
manufacturing facilities,
Mm.
and then come to the process side.
Mm.
Since we address enterprise, we help enterprises use AI to improve their business processes, improve their operation and thing. So we see higher traction with industries where there are more process thing like FS or CRL as compared to manufacturing. But I'm sure once they shift their focus to enhancing or making their processes more efficient, they'll also come on board soon.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. Even I'm seeing more in at least my discussion with startups that financial sector are definitely are the early adopters. I
Yeah.
think healthcare is also looking into it, considering again that's a heavily regulated industry, um, and many of them are looking at options where if they can have provision for on-prem deployment,
Hmm.
so that the data is more controlled and within the guardrail
That's right.
of enterprise periphery, right? So you are marketing what is essentially called, or essentially the engine room, is the way I see it, of enterprise AI transformation, which is EdgeVerve's automation platforms or intelligent document processing that you mentioned. These exactly aren't really a consumer products that sells by themselves, right? How do you make complex B2B AI platforms compelling? I mean, at least the narrative to C-suite executives, right, who are probably now having flooded options of AI platforms and software. It's not easy for B2B buyers, I guess. Just sitting across the table, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you because selling a point solution is far easier, less at stake, even from the customer side. Obviously, when you sell a platform, an enterprise platform, there is far more due diligence that's required, far more trust that's required. So, how we take it to market is that if you look at the stack that we take to market, we realized that and that's the reason why we made that pivot to a platform. It's very important for enterprises to look at the AI journey in a more holistic manner. You cannot look at AI in piecemeal as a use case based, because there are many things that go into play. The first and the foremost, the most important is your data ready,
Right.
right? Um, and if you're really wanting to make the best use of AI, you need to have a single source of data of the enterprise being available.
True.
And
Yeah.
so our first layer is the data layer. And then the second layer is the AI layer. Because we clearly, realize that it's not about using generative AI everywhere or agentic everywhere. It's not that because generative and agentics have come, the predictive AI is going to go out. There is a role of the predictive AI, like there is deterministic AI, which will be there.
Right.
And so it's all about when to use the right AI tools and in an optimum manner so that it's cost effective and you get the maximum out of it. Because if you end up using the wrong AI, you could possibly be and you can possibly end up spending a huge amount of money. And that's the reason our platform is both a poly AI and poly cloud.
Okay.
Yeah, so which makes it easier for clients. So we don't push an LLM, or we don't push a particular cloud. So and we realize that you need to understand when to use AI and to what extent, because tokens are not cheap. So at the end of the day, it's all about giving the confidence and bringing this C level at the customer to believe that the approach to making an enterprise transformation is to go a platform route. You and what is good about our platform is that we do not go and disrupt any existing tech. We sit on top. It's like over the top platform,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay.
So we're not actually disrupting the current stack
The
that's
current
available.
stack. Okay.
Yeah. So we extract data from all the current stack that's available, bring them, make it ready for the organizations or enterprises to now use the AI ready data, make the best AI tool to work for them. And on top of that, identify the processes that need to be done. Then you can take process by process, because now you're ready from the data side and the AI side. And you can now go by process and make them, AI first, and then move forward. And at the end of the day, it's all about the value that you can show them.
Right. Yeah.
Because
So
the
from a marketing standpoint, what is the challenge that you see that as a leader, right? I mean, is it on the messaging positioning side, or is it more on of narrative that is more, I mean, that basically is that convinces across the C-suite, or is it more on the execution side, which is how do you deliver some of these messages? When do you deliver? Where do you deliver? What is the real marketing challenge? From a B2B marketing standpoint.
Yeah. So I think I'll probably answer this at two levels.
Sure.
One as B2B and the AI marketing that a lot of us are involved in today. The second aspect would be specific to our organization,
Okay.
EdgeVerve. Now, if I were to take the second question first and answer, see, the biggest challenge that is happening with my team and I is that we are making that pivot from a point solution to a platform,
Mm,
right? So the way we were perceived by people in the market, by our analysts, is to be changed. We need to first communicate that we are now a platform company.
you're changing the ship.
We're changing the ship, right?
Yes.
Because we're changing the ship, we're changing our competitor set,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
So now we are getting into a different, playground.
Play all together. Yeah.
Yeah, a different play. Are because you're moving away from a point solution to a platform, the deal sizes have changed,
Yes.
right? The TG has changed, right? More and more now, because we are a platform, we are going higher in the hierarchy. Earlier we could have done with somebody who was a functional head, taking a decision on a point solution versus now with the platform, you need to convince or you have to answer to the CIOs, the CEOs. In some cases, it could even probably go higher up, even to the board. So that's the shift from a marketing perspective that
So the
we are going
journey is completely different now.
completely different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now coming to the industry as a whole, all of us who are in the business of selling AI, and probably most of us are today, right?
In the
I
tech,
think
yes.
I think it's important to first get your narrative right. Right.
Yes.
Um, get to know exactly where the pain point is, which is the space that you want to play in, and is it relatable to the customer that you're talking to.
Yes.
So in our case, like we are very clear. In this world of AI, there will be LLMs that will get created. There'll be, and there'll be consistent changes that will keep happening in the AI space. What's there today, there'll be an enhanced version tomorrow. There'll be a third tool available day after. And that's how our poly AI and poly cloud comes to our advantage in terms of telling the customers the value that we bring. Um, the other thing is that we are not in the core business of creating LLMs. Our space is about applied AI. We are good at seeing what AI is available in the market, how can you apply it in the context of the business,
True.
and how can you actually scale applied AI within the organization. So the value that we bring on the table is all about applying AI. And I think the messaging that we've got, the whatever conversations we've had with customers over the last year and a half with the value that we bring on the table, it resonates well because they
Okay.
understand, there will be other tools, AI tools, which will be available. But then in the context of a large enterprise, how do you apply it with the guardrails? How do you optimize the cost? And then how do you solve it? Solve a business problem. So that is the narration that becomes very important. That narrative is important. Second, how do you show that narrative in a space where I would say the art of possible? Because every enterprise is now trying to ask that question, how can AI help me? At times, enterprises know what they want to do or what they want to achieve, but many a times they don't know the art of possible. So in terms of opening up their thought process or helping them think along with us with a platform on the art of possible is very important. The third aspect which becomes important is, why would they believe that we can do it?
Reasons to believe.
Yeah. So you need reasons to believe, which is fun first from the thought leadership side.
Right.
Okay. Is there enough thought leadership that you know is around that they can get to know and us and read about? What are the analysts talking about us? So there is thought leadership that needs to be there. And at the end of the day, it's all about showcasing what you have actually delivered on the ground. So like today as an organization, we have many AI implementations there and which are showing results, considerable results to our customers. So that's the showcase of credibility of having delivered. Because in a world where very few POCs are succeeding and not moving forward, when you go to customers to say that we've done these kind of AI implementations already, it definitely resonates well. So I would say these are the steps. Get the value proposition right, build the thought leadership around it so that people tend to recognize that you are a formidable player in this space. Show the art of possible with what can be done, and then make them believe that you are the right partner.
Right. So on the thought leadership piece, you mentioned obviously AR is one of the important tool, right? So it is important to get yourself in the in the in the landscape.
Yeah.
so that you are at least there in the consideration seat, right? What are the other things that you do, as part of thought leadership? AR is one of them, right?
Media,
Media.
media bylines, right? You get articles published on blogs. Then we do podcasts, with people in the trade and who are influencers. Then we also have our own thought leadership property that we've created over the years, the Edge Quarterly. So we keep coming up with every quarter we come
Is it
up
a
with.
newsletter or
Uh, yeah, it's a not a newsletter. It's a publication we do.
like a digest?
Yeah, and those have a lot of articles in terms of our point of view, and obviously also the art of possible,
Okay.
which is forward looking. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we do multiple of these things, and then we also do some very focused work. you know,
Okay.
because now that, as I told you, we are shifting our playground and changing. So we try to get some key people in a room and do a half day workshop to, put our point of view in front of them and then do some deliberation with some people in the industry who are knowledgeable, right?
Right.
So that we come across as a thought leader
So these are
along.
like small, small format workshop kind of
Yeah.
format, right?
So it's typically we do both. We do sometimes very small format of 8 to 10 people in a room.
Okay.
Those are those are more like the boardroom discussions.
Sure.
To a
Round
format
tables.
to a format where it is about 30 to 40 people in a room,
Okay.
right? Yeah. Multiple formats depends on where we are doing, and is it a cross industry event versus an industry specific event.
Okay.
So that also determines in the size that we are doing.
You're doing events as well, right? Like the proper trade shows events or
See,
conferences.
uh, we do our own events.
Okay.
Um, we are not a big believer in going to
The
trade
public
events,
events.
public
Okay.
events,
Got
because
it.
public event is good only from the perspective of brand visibility, but doesn't do enough from a perception change. So we're trying to focus more because for us it's very critical to support the pivotal change that we are making. And there's a perception change that we need to make. So it's more around the thought leadership so that we build that perception change.
I think that is very crucial for
Yeah,
enterprise buyers. In that context, are there ABM work also that you're doing?
we do. We do
Okay.
ABM work. Now that we've moved a year and a half, what I said, the shift that we made from point
Point solution to
to
platform.
thing, now we are a little more serious and more engaged in the ABM than we were earlier.
Got it. Okay. So, switching the conversation to a slightly important area, increasingly there is a conversation about marketing, being closer to the revenue or taking revenue ownership. What
Yep.
is your point of view on that, and how do you see that is shaping or sort of panning out in your own role or even in the peer group? What discussion you are hearing?
So I'm a very, very strong believer that marketing has to make a business impact, right? If we can't make that business impact, then I think our existence is at question. Because whatever we do in terms of building awareness, building perception, gen, at the end of the day, it has to help the business,
Business, yeah.
and we make an impact. Uh, yeah. So what we also do that. I'm very, one. I'm totally sold, and I propagate the idea of marketing taking a very, very, I would say, an integral part of building the pipeline. Right? So I'm definitely part of that. So the only way is that because our cycle times are longer in terms of platform selling or something. But the measure is in terms of the percentage pipeline that comes from us, from marketing. Yeah. Because after that, the cycle is too long for conversion. Yeah. But a strong believer. Right from day one, any business that I've been part of, I always believe that marketing is integral and has to play the role and has to be in the forefront and own up to the impact, revenue impact that we can bring on the table.
Right.
Irrespective of the industry, I think we should do that.
So, you have navigated different roles in marketing across different contexts.
Yep.
You have worked at Royal Enfield, where you created a motorcycle community, and we'll get to that in some time. And definitely, it's an interesting area, and I'm sure many of our listeners will be interested in that story. And then you have done that for Infosys Global IT Services, then Foton's market entry in India, and then Mahindra's automotive portfolio as well, and now EdgeVerb's AI platforms. How much of your marketing approach actually transfers across these industries, considering they're quite different? And how do you reimagine the entirety each time, right, from a marketing standpoint?
Think, question and so easy to answer, but yet I think difficult at times to answer that. Yeah, but to answer your question, are there learnings that we can pick from one to another? My answer is yes. Okay. See, some of the basics that we do in marketing, whether it's B2B, B2C, whether it's a consumer product or a services that we do or IT product, some basic fundamentals don't change. At the end of the day, a marketing person's job is to create awareness for the product or the brand, build that equity in the market for people to believe and be consistent in the value that you promise to customer, and at the end of the day help create the demand in whichever form for the business. So in different context, things might change, right? Like when you're in the services business or in the IT space, um, your focus on thought leadership building increases. How to not only position organization as a thought leader in a particular area, but how to position some of your leaders as thought leaders in the market, which obviously is not the case when it comes to when you're selling motorcycles or any automotive product for that matter. But is there a need to position people or thing? See, the answer is yes, but the direction changes. If I have to pick up Royal Enfield, and do you need people to be shown as the face of your brand? In a B2B organization, your leaders are the face of the brand. When I was at Royal Enfield, my customers who were loyalists, who wore the brand on their sleeve, were the face for my brand.
Mm. Mm.
Okay. So, at a very high level, if you look at the concepts, you can draw things, but you need to just apply in the context of where you are. And definitely, the things change. Yes, when you're in the automotive space, the geographies are different. The uh, play of digital versus physical, the mix is different. When it comes to IT and services or product, the mix changes. You're more digital, very little physical when it comes to marketing. But when it is in the automotive space, it's physical and digital. The shift, the ratio is quite different. But basic concepts don't change. At the end of the day, every marketeer has to ensure that the brand is relevant to the customer, offers the right value proposition, and consistently delivers that, which does not change irrespective of the industry. But you bring in a lot of learnings from different places. Like for example, when I was at Royal Enfield taught me a lot of frugality, because the times that I was there and how we were transforming the brand and turning around the organization, you had to be frugal. So like the frugality is a trait that I carry across with me wherever I go.
Mm. Mm.
Building a community
Mm.
is something that I saw success at Royal Enfield. I try and move forward with that thought of how to use your consumers as your advocates in the market. The form and fashion may change.
How did that idea of community came about back in days? And can you talk about when was actually that started and how did that come about? And
So
what
it
were you
started,
thinking or your team was thinking then? What was really the objective back then?
yeah. So started, the community started in 95.
Hmm.
Okay, long time back. It's a good 30 years now. The community started. So when I joined Royal Enfield in 92, a fresher, passionate biker, and obviously, people who know about Royal Enfield and the turnaround story. Eicher had got into Royal Enfield in 91 with a strategic alliance, and then
Hmm.
finally took it over in 94. And so the brand wasn't doing well. The brand was, you know,
It was
the sales,
perceived back then more of a rural,
yeah,
rugged.
but rural, rugged as they should have been. And obviously, there were a lot of, all of us used to back then look at Harley Davidson as one of the role model. See, we were all looking at, Harley Davidson as one of the role models. Harley also had a troubled time in the 80s when 70s 80s when the Japs went to America, so they had to turn around and they used multiple ways to do things, and Harley had the cult following that was there, and so it was always a thought that would linger in our mind, that are we the cult, can we become a brand that has a fan following. And when we looked at it, while the imagery of ours was largely on the rural rugged, but the urban crowd, which was there, looked at as the small segment of it, looked at it as a style statement. And then we realized that there are people who swore by long distance riding on Royal Enfield. So we said, okay, there are very positive traits of long distance riding, comfortable for long rides. Yes, you get noticed in city when you're on the bike. So there are things, characteristics around the bike which can be enhanced and leveraged. And one of the most important, I would say, um, points for us was, what is the feeling that is there among customers towards each other? Do they see themselves as a separate tribe, right? So, and that's one of the most important elements that's required, attributes required when you want to build a community, because there has to be something that connects them and make them feel different and a different tribe. And we found that existed, which could be further built on. And that's where we took up the task. We said, one, going forward, how do we make the brand more urban? How do we make the brand more youthful? Um, because the growth would be in the urban areas, and culturally things will change in the country. From a 6 day working, it will go into a 5 day working. There will be more urban youth who would be there. So how do we transform the brand from a rural to an urban?
Yeah.
Build that camaraderie or the tribal feeling that was there, and bring them together for a common cause, and make it a badge that they would like to wear on their sleeves. And that's how the thought came. And
Sure.
I
Okay.
s- and that's where I was instrumental in putting up starting that first community, a small community, which obviously over the years has grown multifolds, and started in Bangalore in 95 December.
Okay. Okay. And obviously, I mean, today the image that we see of Royal Enfield to a large extent driven by very community centric, actually wearing that badge on their shoulder. So I think in many sense, the dream has actually completely realized. And I think last 10 years has been
Oh
phenomenal
yeah,
for the
no,
brand.
it's a dream ride, and I think, see, what happens is, while a lot of us were part of it, I was part of it till 2005, right?
Hmm.
That's
Okay.
when
So that's pretty long time you have spent.
Oh yeah, I spent long 13 years with Royal Enfield,
Mm,
right?
mm,
But I think the way I was passionate about the brand, I was passionate about the product. Um, People around there, I think one thing, like the customers thought they were a different tribe. I think a lot of people within the organization saw themselves as a different tribe. They
okay.
had that, I would say they had and have that kind of passion.
Mm,
And coming right from the senior most leadership,
mm,
like you can't have a better brand ambassador than Mr. Siddhartha, right?
true, true.
So that energy flows down within the organization. So everybody is passionate about the brand. Everybody has a good sense in terms of what the brand should stand for and what consistently the brand should deliver to their customers. And I think it's been a dream run. Obviously, it's a phenomenal case study.
So,
Uh,
where did you move from Mahindra? Sorry, in Royal Enfield.
I took that jump from Royal Enfield. I moved to what is today's Tech Mahindra, then
Okay,
Satyam. Okay.
okay, okay.
And
So you
yeah,
went from
very.
B2C to B2B.
Well, yeah, actually, not a easy move, I would say, for many people. But possibly I was a little, I would say, a little lucky in the sense, you always uh, fear of the unknown, right? You don't know what kind of move you're taking. And that was the time when I happened to come across an article or an ad which said that Satyam was looking for leaders from non IT background.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. So that actually gave me that a little confidence in terms of, so I can make this move and I can see what's on the other side or the newer world that it is. Let me try. And possibly came across someone on the other side that I was talking to. I think I'd met Mr. Mohan Eddy,
Okay.
then one of the directors at Satyam.
Mm-hmm.
I think we clicked. He also came from a manufacturing background. He was part of the Satyam Consulting, and that gave me a lot of confidence as how I could make a difference, or I could in the new setup that I'm going to get into. And so I made that move. Interesting move. Learned a lot, but I didn't make my move into marketing,
Okay.
right? Because for me it was very important to first understand what the IT business was like.
So you moved to
So
sales or?
no, I actually moved to a function in Satyam that was re-engineering the sales and marketing processes.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
Huh.
so that gave me a hands-on experience in terms of how marketing functions in the services industry and got a chance to be part of redefining that process.
Okay.
Right? And so, having learned how things happen in the services industry, I picked up the trades. Then I went to start the Satyam operations in Malaysia.
Okay.
Okay, so I set up the Global Development Center. I was the head
Mm-hmm.
of operations there
Okay.
and set it up. And this time that I spent there gave me a good exposure into both the industry and how it operates.
Mm-hmm.
Then I made my move and came back to marketing at Infosys.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Got it. So at Satyam, you were initially part of sort of in a way sales and marketing transformation kind of a
Yeah.
project, and then moved to operations in Malaysia, setting up the operations there, and got exposure to the business from front and lot more understanding of the customers and how businesses are delivered and
Yeah.
value realized, and so to say. And then you came back to Infosys. What role you picked up in Infosys? Was it marketing?
It was marketing. It was marketing. I was part of the corporate marketing team.
Okay.
That was the time when Infi was also. repositioning or wanting to go up the value chain.
Which year was that?
2007.
Seven. Okay. And
I
who
was there.
was the CEO then? Chris, is it? Or Nandan?
Yes, it was Chris in the beginning, but by the time I left, it was Shibu.
Shibu. Okay. Got it. Okay. So you were saying that at that time, the Infosys was moving up the value chain.
Yes, I think Infi was one of the early ones to realize that the linear growth is not the way to look at. So there was this book that came, Win in the Flat World, which was, and a lot
Correct.
of this inputs into that book was from Mr. Nanda Nilekani. And so that became the theme of repositioning Infosys. And so there was a campaign that was there, Win in the Flat World, that Infi was running. And
Okay.
so that's when I joined Infosys to drive that. Then I spent some time in Infosys. After that, the product business that is there today, there was an incubation unit that was set up in Infosys then, long
The
time back.
Finacle business, is it?
No, not the Finacle. There was a
Okay.
product incubation unit that was set up
Oh,
sometime in 2000, I think 9, if I remember correctly.
okay.
So I became part of that
Product
unit
organization.
to support them with the marketing. Uh,
Understood.
yeah,
Okay.
because that marketing was again a little different from what typical services marketing was,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then I spent, before I left Infosys, I spent some time as head of global branding.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's when I, did one bit of transformation for the Infosys brand, relooking at the campaign and the guideline. And I came up with a new campaign for Infosys. And then I moved out. Then I moved out back to the auto industry.
Interesting. You moved back to again auto industry.
Yep.
Okay. And this was with Mahindra, I believe, right?
No, I joined
Are you
a
Foton? You
company,
won.
Photon. I joined
Right.
Photon. Yeah.
Okay.
I took a plunge
What
because, see,
was the challenge there, and what
oh,
excited
so
you at that time, Foton?
So I think, see, the couple of things I would say, like many of us, who are who are working in the corporate world, we don't get a chance to be part of a startup, right? Or we don't get a chance to set up something new. And being in the automotive space, it becomes even tougher. And this was an organization that was wanting to enter India. And so it was a greenfield project or a brownfield project to set up, so deciding the market entry strategy, what to bring and how to bring, and obviously working with colleagues who would look at how to set up the sourcing strategy, how to set up the manufacturing strategy. Being part of that was something that definitely excited, right?
Was
Because you,
that a marketing role again, or was it a different
yeah,
role?
I actually joined them as head of marketing, but eventually expanded that role into other function as well.
I see.
Um,
Okay.
so that gave a lot of opportunity to look at how do you enter a market, or how do you build a strategy to enter a market. And there was another trigger, so the MD who had joined Photon knew me, and he had seen me play the part of, the role I played with Royal Enfield
Right.
in brand transforming the brand. So it was more like, he said there is a challenge which is there, but a different kind of a challenge. There is again a challenge that we might face in setting up this. It's of change of perception. He said because the Photon, actually Chinese company, but a very very large commercial vehicle manufacturer in China. Because when I joined them, I don't know what the latest numbers are. When I joined, the total volume of Photon was the cumulative volume of all commercial vehicle manufacturers in India put together. Photon was bigger in number terms.
Okay.
Okay, so a very large company with some 16 manufacturing plants in China, pretty big. And so he said, while the products are good, everything is good, Maybe the challenge we might face when we get into production is acceptance of a Chinese brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And therefore, I know you did that shift of perception, or you were part of that perception shift at Royal Enfield. So why don't you come on board? And so I said, good. One side, you get a chance to be part of something starting from scratch and the challenge of changing perception. And why not? And so that's how I decided to make that move.
So it's more like a an adventure or a gamble. Yeah.
Yes, yes, you can say that. Looking back, it
Yeah.
definitely was a gamble,
Yeah.
because
How did
at the
it
end,
pan out?
it didn't. That's what I'm saying. We did some fantastic work
Uh,
in terms of building the strategy. Ended up buying the piece of land to put up a plant in Pune. Went to that extent, but I think things didn't favor because from the time we started working on building the entry strategy to the time when we had built the entry strategy and bought the land, rupee had considerably devalued.
okay.
Okay. So one of the pillars on which the overall strategy was built was China sourcing, right? Because you know the Foton had 16 manufacturing plants in China with capacities available. So that entire sourcing strategy fell flat because of the currency devaluation.
Okay.
And then you had to go back to the drawing board to relook at how to change the strategy. And this was sometime in 15,
Okay.
right? And we all knew that in a matter of a few, because typically in the automotive industry, from the time you start setting up to the time you can actually roll out and get into production, it's a good 2.5, 3 year time frame. Right? So we knew that by the time we start now to enter with products in the Indian market, it will be sometime around 2018. And it was already declared that in 2020, Indian regulatory norms would change to BS6. Yeah. So it didn't make too much business sense to enter a market with BS and within 2 years reinvest for BS6.
6.
Yeah. So that's how we said, okay, probably the timing is wrong and the
Yeah.
market conditions didn't allow.
So
And then
after that, you moved to
moved to Mahindra.
Mahindra. Okay. And with Mahindra, you handle what Mojo?
I was handling the two-wheeler business with Mahindra. So it was the, Mahindra had taken over the Kinetic Honda business with scooters and then developed motorcycles, developed a couple of commuter motorcycles and then developed the Mojo.
So
Uh,
Mojo was a indigenous platform built by
Mahindra.
Mahindra.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So it was
And
not like moved or shifted from any other platform,
no, 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 it
the bike
wasn't.
segment.
No,
Okay.
it was. And then Mahindra had also taken over or a majority stake in Peugeot motorcycles in France.
Okay.
Okay. So I was part of the business, two-wheeler business that Mahindra owned here in India. Yet, working with the Peugeot team to build synergies.
Got it. Okay.
So did that, and then I finally moved to moved from Mahindra to EdgeVerve.
EdgeVerve. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
been a cycle, auto, IT, auto, back to IT.
Right.
So
Yeah. I think it's an interesting sort of
it is.
cycle. There are some interesting work, I believe, from a Mojo marketing standpoint also happened, right? Even they published a book called Mojo Born for the Road.
Yeah.
Um, and was it at around the time when you were there or?
Yeah, yeah. I was
Okay.
there, so obviously came up with that book and came up with, built the Mojo Tribe community
Okay.
and, yeah, and tried to position it very differently because it was not a volume game because the whole Mojo, the idea of Mojo and why Mahindra brought or developed Mojo then was more like a putting up a flagship product to showcase the ability of building something which is good and not the numbers. The need was different because, and then to look at trickling effect of that on the other products. So use Mojo as a flagship to change perception. That was the idea, and not go after numbers.
And I believe you also own one Mojo, right?
I do. I do. I own a Mojo, and I also own a Royal Enfield
RE
Interceptor.
as well, or
I have
Interceptor.
an
All right.
Interceptor. So I have an
Okay.
Interceptor and a Mojo,
Do
both.
you drive regularly, or how's it?
I do ride, not as much as I would have loved to or liked to, because I don't get time. See, today I live in Mysore and I work out of Bangalore. Right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So 3 days I commute.
Yeah. That must be tiring, right?
Not too much, that's doable. But yeah, because I travel from Mysore to Bangalore, obviously I prefer a four wheeler to do
Four
that.
wheeler.
So you get time only over the weekends. Yeah, so weekends I do take it out, but I don't get enough time to do some long ride.
Long rides. Yeah. Yeah. No, got it.
That's come
Yeah.
down little. That's come down considerably. Yeah. But yes, I pick it up on my weekend go around, and thankfully Mysore is a place that offers a lot many roads to go out. So
Right.
location is favorable.
Right. So, in terms of tech stack, right? I mean, the tech marketing is changing quite a lot with the kind of push from initially the Martech stack. There a lot of automation happened in the last decade, and now for last 3 4 years with AI, right? How is your team grappling with this change in terms of AI adoption of AI within marketing, right, as a practice or function? And what
So,
are your initial use cases that you are experimenting with?
say, I would be like frank here in telling
Sure.
that there is a gap in where we want to be and where we are. Right? I think we all have in our mind, including me and my team and I, we all have a lot of use cases in our mind that where we want to put AI to work. We are, uh, to a large extent, we are successful in two areas.
Okay.
Okay. I think we've been able to leverage AI for content creation.
Okay.
Okay. So when it comes to writing papers, building content, we've been able to do that, including doing research. So
Okay.
research and content creation is an area where we have been able to leverage the power of AI.
Okay. Did do
The
you
other
did
area
you
that
just on that point, did you see that as what advantage did you get using AI? Is it time advantage? Is it cost advantage?
definitely time for sure, undoubtedly. Also in terms of cost, um, because we are not a team which is heavy on content writers within the organization, right? Where while we do have people who focus on building content, but then there is a lot of content that gets outsourced.
Understood.
Okay. Now with the use of AI, you've been able to crunch the timeline, and the people who are within the organization on content can do now more,
Right.
and therefore you can probably cut down on the outsourcing of content that happens.
So, what is the
So
second part that you're mentioning?
second is in terms of creativity,
Okay.
right? So, while we have our own designers who keep working, very creative people, but the speed with which they can create now with the use of AI is obviously much faster. And at times, I would also like to say that AI throws up some creative work which possibly we wouldn't have conceptualized or we wouldn't have walked that direction. And it's so fast that you can always try it out, don't like it, discard it. And so we do use that, because there's so much content that is required, both even creative, because you have to be active on the social media, you have to keep churning out content, right?
Right.
And every time trying to do from scratch and taking time. So definitely AI tools help create content.
Right. So, in terms of tools, do you have any recommendations on the AI side?
See, there are some, I'm sure, depends also on the organization, right?
Right.
On Um, See, there are many tools that are there,
Yeah.
but
Let's talk about content. Is there any suggestion that you
like
can?
we have Jasper, Copy.ai, Yarnet. So there are tools that are there that we use. Then you have on the creative side, so you have the Adobe Firefly and the mid journeys of the world, which are
Correct.
there, which we use. So in our case, being a organization with very strong frameworks and guidelines. In our case, we are a little more cautious on what we use because we don't want any IP infringement issues. We only, so there are some gray areas which are there. So there are those tools which we probably use for ideation, but we don't put it in production, right?
Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
So, but if there is any B2B enterprise which can possibly do, then I think the choice of tools become even more.
Yeah, got it. How does your organization structure look? Marketing organization,
So
team structure.
typically are segmented around the need uh, we have today. So obviously we have a small team that works on analyst building analyst relationship. I have a team that builds around works closely with the product team. They manage they're the product marketing team which focuses on bridging the gap between product and the market need, building the value proposition and the content around it for go to market. We have a demand gen team which focuses purely on outbound activities and demand generation. Obviously, we need the two basic support teams in marketing, which is a team that can manage digital and a team that can manage your brand presence. So that's how I have people who focus on brand, digital,
So when you say
analysts,
brand, this means PR, corporate communication, that kind of stuff, or
PR, internal comms,
yeah, IR, correct.
IR,
Yeah,
internal comms is part of
internal
their
comms,
brand
yeah.
is there. Then also in terms of consistency in brand presence, so across events that we do, across all the marketing activities that we do.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
What about digital? What does that
Digital,
function do?
managing the web presence, managing social media,
Okay.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
all your SEO plus now in the new world of AI, the how do you manage to be on top even in
AU
all
and
your
GEO, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have built marketing teams, across different industries and then companies as well. When you are hiring for your team, what do you look for? I mean, do you usually look for someone who understands today enterprise AI, or someone is good at brand building or storytelling, or maybe demand gen? I mean, how do you really spot talent? And is there any specific soft skills that you look for?
See, depending on the kind of role within my team, if you see there are people who need to be aware of the tech space. Like, so the team that works very closely with product marketing, the product management team, and bridges the gap between product and market. They are the people who need to be aware of technology, aware of the space. So specifically in that team, when we look at getting people, we look at people who bring that knowledge. So they're aware of that. People who are in the analyst space also need to understand the industry and the knowledge of the space there. But when it comes to functions like digital, functions like branding, knowing or they're having experience in the current industry is not as critical. Their understanding of their domain is more critical. So what's the latest trend in digital? How the space is moving? What is the martech that stack that is required? How to integrate data and build campaigns seamlessly? So their knowledge there is important rather than what industry it is. The common thread across, the first thing that I look at people is learnability,
Right.
right? Uh, because one, even if you're changing industry and coming, you need to learn. Second, I think today we are at an age where things are changing so fast that even a marketeer of yesterday may not be, I would say, relevant today if the person has not kept the learning curve going. So, learnability is definitely one of the key traits. The second trait, you take a bet because it's not very easy to do a thing. Second is the ability to work in a cross functional or a multicultural environment. So,
Yeah.
you make your own judgment when you talk and find out,
Right.
because if you look at industry that I am in today, you need to work with people across geographies, across cultures,
And
and
across functions also.
across functions, and you need to build a team. And so the belief of being part of a team than an individual contributor becomes very critical in this space that I'm in. Third, I think, is the energy level.
Yeah. Very crucial. Yes.
Very crucial because at the end of the day, we all have to realize that you can build the best strategy on the drawing board. But if you don't have the ability to execute, then all strategy goes for a toss. So
Correct.
that go-getter, the full of energy, wanting to go and deliver something and make a difference. So I look for these three because rest, I think, if somebody doesn't know the subject, somebody is not aware of a particular area. If the qualities are right, the soft skills are there, aptitude is there, there's nothing difficult to learn.
So someone who is so one of the things I always notice is that in B schools, still the focus of marketing and the specialization is heavily kind of tilted towards B2C, right? And it's interesting after good 25, 30 years of B2B marketing, still that switch has not happened there. Considering I personally consider B2B marketing is a lot more complex, considering you are
It is.
actually trying to influence not one buyer but multiple buyers in the panel or in the buying committee. You are also dealing with not necessarily impulse and emotion but heavily basically backed by data, logic, reasons to believe, so
Yeah.
all sorts of cognitive thing, right? Today if somebody is considering to get into B2B, what would be your advice? B2B marketing, what kind of skills do you think is required? Is it more accentuated towards a specific skill, or is it more of you know general skills or generalized generalists, as we say, that you see is important, and at what stage? Because that is also very crucial, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think, see, one of the what you said is absolutely right because what they teach in B schools or what the masses perceive of marketing
Yeah,
is
heavily skewed towards B2C, right?
B2C. Because for many, marketing is advertising. For
Media spend.
many,
Yeah.
yeah, for many, marketing is Marcom, right? And so the minute you make that shift in your mind that a marketing person's job is to help build that brand perception, showcase the value that you bring on the table, and consistently deliver. As a result, it can help your organization get that extra premium in the market. If you understand this as the basics of a marketing, then you're, I think, ready to take on anything. Okay. The second thing I think becomes important, especially when it comes to B2B. Even in B2B, there could be multiple spaces. Like, you could be B2B product selling or B2B concept selling, B2B IT services or IT products. I think what each of the person needs to ask is, um, how does he or she perceive the role? What is the kick that the person is getting? If there is anything that in your mind, or there is a perception that marketing is all about flamboyance, right? Then that person, when it comes to the kind of role I do today or most B2B marketers do, might be a little disappointed.
Yeah.
So it's important to first understand what is the role of marketing in the context of the industry that you're going in, and to see what are the key traits that are required. Like if you're in a B2B industrial selling, it's not so much about content creation and thought leadership building. Okay. But it is B2B, but in some other context. But when it comes to B2B for a services industry or an IT product company, it's very clearly in terms of how do I showcase my value to a customer? I can showcase my value because I don't have a physical product. I have to showcase it through thought leadership. And therefore, thought leadership becomes very important. Now, do I have the aptitude to work in an environment which is content heavy, creating content? If this gives me a kick, then definitely you would flourish. You will do good. So, understanding the industry, the context, and the role of marketing in that industry and mapping your aptitude is I think, the way to look at it.
Right, right. And Naveen, B2B marketing, if you, and we have seen that, 10 years or 15 years ago, back in 2010, 2012, and now, I mean, there is a lot of change that has happened, right? There's a lot of evolution that has happened. And I think one of the biggest change that has happened is more and more role of technology play, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of things today we do are heavily guided and influenced by technology. I think the power of data, simply put, has put us in a position to make a lot more smarter decisions.
Yes.
And we are, for the first time, we are probably able to show the direct sort of relation between the investment and return, right?
I agree.
While I personally still feel that marketing is still quite subjective, marketing still has a lot of storytelling. Marketing is still about a lot of it is education, especially in B2B. Where do you see the future of marketing? Where is it going from a B2B marketing standpoint? Next
So,
3, 4, 5 years.
like Jaideep, you said that marketing is about storytelling. I don't think that piece is ever going to go away because as marketeers, our job is to um, tell the story in the right way, which resonates well with the customers, irrespective of industry and especially in B2B. So how do you tell the story? How do you make people believe your story? That piece is never going to go away, you know. So that will always be there. How will technology impact all of us, and how technology will become integral to marketing? So there was a time when I started my career, and when we used to work with agencies, it would take sometimes months to create a campaign. It would, the effort that they had to make to show things to us, they would actually do, cut out a cardboard, paste it on a
Right,
newspaper, visualization was tough, right? um, from there on, to tools coming which made life easier, with Photoshop, you could now create it faster, right? And help visualization becoming a little faster, right? To an age where, the next stage came of digital. As things became digital, your database became stronger. Now, because database became stronger, and you could now start, uh, to a large extent, as n is equal to 1, you could start thinking of now personalization.
right,
So, technology brought in new avenues, technology brought in new ideas that could now be executed. Now, was it possible to have a personalized story and personalized selling 3 decades back or 4 decades back when there was nothing in digital? Very tough. The cost of personalization was prohibitive. Right?
right.
But with digital data there, people there, now you're able to track habits of people. You're actually on a real time basis, how what somebody is doing, and therefore you can contextualize the content.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Now all that has become now with the digitization or the digital world we were in.
And
Okay.
you can do it at scale now.
You can do it at scale.
Right,
You're now moving to the next step where you're getting AI. And AI can probably help do a lot of things that we were doing earlier faster, more accurately, and possibly at a lower cost. When you're looking at personalization and everything, now you have the data, you can have AI working on that data, and you can churn out things faster and, do that. things will come where AI will help you in terms of creativity and content writing and content creation and make it faster. We are slowly moving from an age where no tools to some tools to help aid us to do our job better, moving to a stage where we are saying that, you cannot work without these tools. These are integral to your work. And therefore, the way we work, the way we conceptualize, the way we set up our processes in marketing today, we will have to now start thinking in terms of how to make AI integral to the process and not a choice of using it as a tool.
So, do you see that while there are a lot of these operational, low value, repeatable tasks that most likely are going to get swallowed by AI agents eventually, the marketers need to go back, revisit the basics of why marketing in first place came into being, which is going back to understanding the need and addressing that unmet need, right? Which means going up in the value chain and focusing on identifying newer markets, focusing on identifying white spaces, focusing on building targeted messaging and solutions on that, or helping the organizations to build that, essentially playing a larger role in strategy while orchestrating the whole campaign journey layer, the creative process and so on, by a combination of tools and agents and agencies. I see that probably is something that is coming into play. Someone who is too narrow to a specific tool or to a specific process, it is time probably to open the aperture depending on where you are. I mean, early in your career, probably it is okay to learn a specific trade, and I think you should, and everybody should invest that time to build a specific set of skills quickly, but also understand that how you can actually now put in a technology, be it an agent or an AI, to get things done in a lot more efficient way and lot more accurate way and cheaper way,
Absolutely.
and move up in the value chain, right?
Absolutely.
If
Leave,
at all you
leave.
need to survive.
No, no, I completely agree. Because see, if you don't keep adapting to this,
Hmm.
right, and yeah, see, it's a given that there can be a lot of jobs that AI can help us do faster and better and
Right,
more consistently,
right,
and possibly even more dependably, right?
right, right,
Uh, because we are in an era where there is high churn, high attrition, right?
right, right.
And wherever there is AI that can be part of your process, there is more dependability and consistency that can be brought in. Yeah.
Right, right.
But what you really need is people who are able to mentor the agents, right?
Hmm.
Because it's not that you build an agent and the agents can work without without getting rogue, you know, without creating issues for us going forward.
Hmm.
And the risk of agents going rogue in
Hmm.
a campaign can probably cost
Hmm.
heavily, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah. So
absolutely. Yeah.
therefore, the for the marketeer to have the knowledge of AI
Hmm.
and the ability to mentor that and
Hmm.
monitor that
Hmm.
becomes critical.
And unless you have the functional knowledge deeply, you will
Yeah,
actually not be able to guide these agents.
you may not be able to. So
Right.
therefore, on one side you need to have a deeper knowledge of the function that you are in and a reasonable understanding of the technology and how to use the technology in the space. Yeah. So yeah, I think we will all have to
Yeah.
uh, go
And
back and start learning.
yeah, and I think earlier you mentioned that the MIT report. Going back to that, right? I was speaking with someone this morning while on my walk. This gentleman works in a bank, leading bank, a GCC,
Hmm.
and I was asking him about AI adoption in the dev space. He's a developer there, and he said that there was a lot of this huge excitement and expectation back in 2022, 2023, that period, and we did a lot of stuff, but so far really nothing concrete has come out. You know, it's not that we are able to sort of automate our coding, or we are able to put agents in our environment to make quick decisions and compile them and test them and Q&A and all that. I think it is far from what in real life humans can do, right? With
Yep.
all imperfections.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, you're right. See, I think, see, what the, many a times it's easier to think of something, but it becomes difficult when you implement.
Hmm.
See, like, if you start thinking of an agent like a more intelligent bot, right? Probably a lot of people perceive an agent to be an intelligent bot.
Yeah, yeah,
That's not the agentic framework that you want in an organization. The second thing is, like, any enterprise has, multifunction, multiple, uh, cultural thing, and then there is something that brings all the people together.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Now, even in an agentic world, there are any enterprise uses multiple technology platforms. Now, each one is probably going to offer an agent on top of their platform for the data that they have. But the organization or a process does not run on that. You
hmm.
know, like, you have a tool to maintain marketing data,
Hmm.
then you have a tool that can do campaigns, right?
Hmm.
Let's say the campaign tool or the product that gives their own agents,
Hmm.
which can do the campaign management, and then you have another data tool that is there which gives you agents which can do that. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day,
The
agents
interoperability is not there. Yeah,
agents need to talk to each other,
correct. Yeah.
right? And so, after all, it's all about how do you create an environment where you're able to orchestrate among agents,
Mm.
and ensure that they all are, within the guardrails that are there. No one goes
True,
rogue.
true,
So,
true.
it's sometimes on paper when you sit and think of an idea easier,
Yeah,
but execution can be a little tough.
yeah. No, agree, agree. So, switching my gear towards the last segment where I want to do. So, I want to check what do you do to keep yourself updated, considering as we have been discussing it, the pace of change is really high.
Yeah.
And do you read, do you see podcasts or listen to podcasts, or do you do in-person socialization? How do you keep yourself abreast?
I do a few things, and I don't have a prescriptive way of doing things.
Sure.
Like, I personally have been a strong believer of experiential learning. So, be it your own experiences or be it learning from others' experiences. So, I try to, I've always been an experimental person. So, I try out things even at the cost of knowing that it might fail. So, that gives me a quick learning.
Sure. Yeah.
um, I do pick up thoughts or ideas from people in this friend circle in the industry to know what they are experimenting and how they are now moving forward. Third way of trying to do things is asking yourself, because I've done cross industry, cross function, I've run, I've done marketing, but I've also run business, right? So I try to push myself to say, okay, knowing that this technology is there or this particular thing, is there a way? What are my ideas of how to keep applying them? Try and put down some thoughts in terms of how to apply it in different circumstances.
Mm. Which I guess is getting slowly scarce and such important thing in
Yeah,
the age of AI. Putting
yes,
your mind to use.
yeah, because the AI does not know at this point in time unless I translate everything, what I did in Royal Enfield, what I did in Mahindra, what I did as a
Even then, it
ops.
can hallucinate.
It can hallucinate, so these are one. Then I try to keep reading things. I'm not a big patience level on reading big stuff is low, so I
Mhm.
read short stuff wherever I can get,
Blogs and articles and stuff like that.
blogs, articles, some reviews,
Hmm.
some new ideas which are there. So I keep reading those to see what's happening, especially in today's age. With AI, what's new happening across. I learn because we are an AI organization. My colleagues who are in a center of excellence of AI, or the platform heads. Okay, they need to breathe, eat, drink AI. So I try to spend time with them to understand the extent in which AI can work or cannot work, or what challenges would come in AI. And I try to translate that into what does it mean for me in marketing.
Yeah, no, I think that that probably are all experiential, as you mentioned.
I love
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So, before we go, where can people find you or connect with you, Naveen? What is the best way?
See, LinkedIn is the best way to connect and faster, right?
Okay,
And so that's a fastest way place people can do.
all right. Great. So, Naveen, I think this has been I think a long and a fascinating conversation, and I think we covered quite a bit of ground. We looked at experiences that you had and you bring in from the world of B2C and also from the world of B2B. Your experience and your experiments and your success stories, be it in the Royal Enfield and then Satyam and then and Mahindra and then Infosys and then now at EdgeVerve. I think the life comes to a full circle, as you mentioned, B2C, B2B, B2C. So, and
Yeah,
then B2B. It's a fascinating ride, and I'm so excited that you have traveled that journey and you are continuing on that and fetching new grounds. Thank you for sharing your time and coming to the platform and sharing the ideas with our listeners and viewers, especially in the B2B marketing community. And I'm sure
thanks.
there are a lot of takeaways for everyone.
Thanks, Joydeep, for having me and sharing whatever I have learned through experience, by shifting industries or companies, and the exposure that I was able to get during this process. And, it's very important. So, what's kept me going, I think, is, you know, I always, look back and think as to what worked, why it worked or not. I've always stayed paranoid, right? Um, I've always been curious, right? And I've always been positive, right? So, getting these three things together, being paranoid, curious, and being positive, you know,
What else you
um,
need? Those are the three
these are the three
mantras.
things, and this is what I tell my own team, the young team that I have. I said, don't become too comfortable, and the world is going to change faster than you think, especially today. So, is it natural to be paranoid? The answer is yes. But keep your curiosity high and keep your positivity high, and you will overcome the challenges that are there.
Yeah,
And this
yeah,
is probably the biggest shift for most marketeers that is going to be the phase we are in today. It's a considerable shift that we all will have to make in the way we work. So,
absolutely, absolutely.
good. Thank you so much for having me and spending this time with me and making me walk down the memory lane and look at over the last 2 decades what I did.
My pleasure, Naveen. It was all my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.